Good morning, guys. How you guys doing? Good, good, good. Good to see you guys. It's been a while. Thanks to you guys for coming out this morning. Um, Thanks to Chip, dear friend and brother of all of us, right? He's been such a blessing in my life. Uh, this 9.5 years now. As he shared, we met in the halfway house in Hartford as we both were returning home from our time of incarceration. And we've been a blessing to each other. And as I shared with him, the Lord, he was an answer prayer for me as well. It was a difficult time transitioning out. And I know you guys are wondering, getting out and being in the halfway house can be even more challenging than being inside doing time. And I know that sounds strange, but it's just inside there's a way and a culture and order that you can move. You know, you can just find your way to move freely. But when you're transitioning out, on top of the anxiety and the angst of just wanting to be with your family and to be back in the community, you're now jumping through a whole new set of hoops and protocols that just seems to be micromanaging, and it gets to be difficult. But in my cry out to the Lord, he sent Chip, because I was at a point where I was ready to even take going back and to stay there even another day. And Chip came, and we became fast friends and brothers. And he introduced me to NCS and just shared the excitement of the brotherhood that he experienced before his journey started. And I really appreciated that, and him sharing his vision for what NCS inside would be to this body of believers, of men, and how we can be a community to receive men that are going through their valley seasons and very dark times. And so I just gave him my love and support. But in order for me to do so, my journey had begun way back in 2001 when I gave my life to Christ. But prior to that, I grew up in Norwalk, right next door here, in South Norwalk. I grew up to a loving family, strong family, actually in pretty, well established in the community, working class, middle class. My father and his brothers were businessmen in the community. They've had many different businesses over the years, and own, real estate and different things of that nature. And they set a good example. My parents, though, they separated. I was like 4 years old when they separated. My dad was still very instrumental and had a presence in our household and making sure that we didn't lack for anything. But growing up, it was just, having fun. You know what I mean? Got into high school. I went to Norwalk High. I was in ROTC. Wanted to go into the military up until about my junior year. I really got excited about college. But mind you, I didn't push myself educational, academically wise, so I wasn't ready. I didn't do well on my ASVABs. I didn't do well on my SATs, but and it was kind of I was a late bloomer, so to speak. But I ended up staying local. Went to Norwalk Tech, but it wasn't a good fit for me. You know what I mean? At the time, I was already wrapped up with, being in the streets and hanging out and partying with my friends and everything. I had started selling drugs in high school. Started with like marijuana and, just hanging out with my friends and seeing the opportunity for more money. It was really just about having fun. It wasn't about nothing else. All I would do was, make a bunch of money one night and get a hotel somewhere and throw a big party for my friends and just having fun. And so after a year in college at Norwalk Tech, I ended up flunking out, burning the candle at both ends, school, work, hanging out with my friends and partying, selling drugs and, doing drugs and drinking and, it was too much. So I was in and out of work and selling drugs and back and forth a lot until about 92. In the early 90s, one of my friends, he was shot by a police officer and killed. And it was a real tragic time. And I was working at the time at Caldor's Executive, and they had grown so much that then they had to start downsizing again. And they started doing some big layoffs and moving. They moved from Norwalk to Trumbull or somewhere. But like my job, there was room, but there was only but so much room. I began to experience like the glass ceiling, and I said, well, I can always make money in the streets. And I was off and running. Started selling drugs and just started, just living that life. And before, after a while, you don't think about the end, right? You just caught up in the day-to-day of it. You know what I mean? The hustle and bustle of things. And I just, looking back now, it's just like, wow, so much time just gets wasted. And you find yourself waiting for something to happen. And I wanted to share kind of like the timeline of grace of God working in my life. And so this is during the 90s. This is me and some of my friends here at a bar. One of my friends had just came home from prison, and we were just out having a good time. And that's pretty much what it was always about, right? Just having a good time. And so through the 90s, that's what I did. I was able to do what I wanted to do. Wake up when I wanted to wake up, go where I wanted to go, buy what I wanted to buy. And it was freedom for me, right? The freedom that everyone wants to experience in this world, right? Freedom and the so-called prosperity as well, too, right? But with that life comes a lot of things. It's not a peaceful life. I've been shot. I've been in many different shootouts and fights and all types of things that you're worried about the police, you're worried about people trying to rob you. And it's definitely drama-filled. And so in the late 90s, like 90, this picture right here is around 99 actually. And not too long after this, I lost my dad. My dad had passed And it was, it was really, it was a sad moment for me. 5 years before that, I had lost my mom. She had a massive heart attack and a stroke and died in my arms. Um, and within that 5 year period, um, I got to see my dad like repent and return his life back to God, and he was really sorrowful for the life he lived. He was an adulterous man. You know what I mean? That's the reason why they broke up. He was running around with lots of women, and my mom got to the point where she couldn't take it no longer, and so he was really just sorrowful for the outcome of their marriage and for how things turned out. And so now, seeing that, it left an impression on me. Then when he passed away, I just was really like, just concerned for my future. I knew that I didn't want to, this wasn't going to last. It was only a matter of time for this really, would catch up to me. And so I was in school for cosmetology. I was going to open up a barbershop and a salon and just really look to, close that chapter of selling drugs and being in the streets. And but as they always say, when you start making your exit, then the police start making their entrance into your life. And lo and behold, we were under investigation for a few months. And in April of 2001, my house was raided. I had came home from school in the evening, and I was just really coming to pick up some money to move it. I never kept drugs and money and stuff like that in my house. And but this occasion, I was coming to take some money out, and the police came. Mind you, I'm in the house. It's a family, two-family home, and I was in the house by myself. We had some dogs, a couple of pit bulls. They were fairly young. One was a puppy and one was like a big dog, but he was, they were house dogs. They wasn't no guard dogs or nothing like that. But and so when they came in, they killed the dogs, and I was in the bathroom. I just stayed in the bathroom because like I said, I was just gonna be in and out. So I didn't have no lights on, only but the room that I was in. I was in the bathroom at the time when they came in. So I just stayed there, and so got arrested, and I went uptown, and when I was in, they were searching the house while I was at the precinct, and I just was laying on my bunk, and I was, just saying I was tired. And I was like, I get out of this, I'm gonna go to church. Went to church. That was a Thursday night. That Sunday, I went to church and with my sister, who she was younger than me. She was going to a church that had just started in '99, and they didn't even have a church building at the time. They was having services at Ponus Ridge, the middle school I went to. How ironic. So I go there, and service was nice. I didn't grow up going to church, so I didn't really know nothing about the formalities of things. I just, always enjoyed the music and stuff. And so at the end of the service, my cousin and I, we was there. His girlfriend was attending there as well. We left. She asked me, was I coming back? I said, sure, I'll probably come back next week. And that next week was April 15th, 2001, and it was Easter. And I went, and at the end of the service, we were leaving again, It was during the altar call, actually, now that I understood what was happening. But then I didn't. So as I was exiting out, my sister she was like what they call sanctuary servants, or like a usher. And she stopped me, and she asked me, did I believe that Jesus died for my sins? And I just broke down crying. I never imagined my life in a million years, saw myself becoming a Christian. I had grew up during the 70s and 80s. I was, looked up to like Malcolm X and Farrakhan, and I was pursuing, Islam and 5%ers, and just it was a philosophy that was just kind of like an offshoot of that, and so I never saw myself, even understanding what that sacrifice meant until that moment. And it was a reality that I can't explain how it just became real to me. And so she turned me around and walked me down the aisle, and I gave my life to Christ that day. This was 2000 here. This was the last Thanksgiving I had before I was incarcerated. Some friends of mine. Here is a day that I celebrate, April 15th, when I gave my life to Christ, and it was at New Vision International Ministries, and they were just a young church, 2 years at the time, and it was an amazing day for me. Gave my life to Christ, left the streets. Things are going to be good, right? Just going to get a job, could finish school, open up my barbershop, and just be able to move on. That was the plan. 2 months later, June 12th of that year, federal indictment comes out, and they come and sweep us all up. And it was tragic. Like, I knew there was possibilities of some things happening, but I never would imagine it being on the level that things were about to unfold for me at this time. Within the first 6 months, I was indicted 3 times. I was indicted 3 times. It was superseded. More charges. Out of a 20-something count indictment, I had 10 of those counts. I started out as number 4 in the indictment and was moved up to number 2 before it was all said and done. But one thing I knew is that I knew God, and I didn't understand what was happening. One of my first prayers was, Lord, I just wanted to know him. And I told him that I was going to use the time, whatever time it be, was to get to know him. I understood the life that I lived, and I understood there was consequences. I just wanted some mercy in the midst of what was going to happen. Fortunately, I was a first-time offender. Unfortunately, there was a lot of disparities in the laws and the sentencing. I ended up going to trial, and we lost, but I received, and at sentencing, at sentencing, I was, my lawyer had wanted to get requests for a departure from the guidelines, and we were denied. We ended up being denied for that departure, but there's a whole nother story that goes with that part. But so I was ended up getting sentenced to 30 years as a first-time offender. From there, I went to Otisville, New York, to FCI Otisville. And in this picture here is me and a group of believers, Christian men, that received me. And we began to I began to have community, like-minded men just on the path of, turning their life around for Christ. I was there for 4 years in Otisville. I got baptized in water there. I got baptized in the Spirit there. And it was just an amazing time of fellowship and just growing in Christ. From there, I moved to FCI Fort Dix. And here, this picture was taken just about a month before I got released. So from there, I had, because I went to trial in 2015 on a habeas corpus, I received immediate release in 2015, and but the judge, being that I was gone for so long, she wanted me to make a transition out slowly back into the community. So she stipulated that I would do 4 months in the halfway house. And so this was me and my god sister. I was on my way from Brooklyn Detention Center, where I was released, to go travel to Hartford to the halfway house. And we stopped, and I got to see her on my way. Actually, here is me and my older sister. Liberty Christian Center was the church in Hartford that I began to attend while I was in the halfway house. This is my big sister here. She's no longer with us. We lost her in 2019 to cancer, but she was a pillar in my life and a big support for my whole life, actually, but all the more while I was away, incarcerated. And then 2017, I met this amazing woman here, Kia, my beautiful wife. I was home for 2 years, single. I didn't go on I went on one date, actually. I went and had coffee with a young lady that I had met. One date, I knew that I couldn't open the door back into a promiscuous life, fornication. So I stayed celibate for the 2 years and just really focused on serving in ministry. And I was introduced to my beautiful wife in 2016, and we got married in 2017. Here, 7/29, a beautiful day. In 2019, my brother and I, we opened up Be Clean. It is a small business, commercial cleaning service, and we've, still going to this day. It's been a great venture for us, and this is more family pictures here. My beautiful family. In 2021, this right here, I shared my story with this program, community leadership program, at the Hampden. Similar to what I shared, there was a little bit more details here, but it was a story. I shared it from a point of leadership, using the story of Joseph. Though Joseph was innocent, I wasn't innocent, but it was a lot of parallels there. And I'm not on the internet. I have a really low presence, but the story was ended up being shared, and it had went viral on Facebook and stuff, and it's still out there. Here, I got to celebrate my 50th. This is my pastor and the elders from New Vision. I still got connected with them on my way home, and just been an amazing time there. More family stuff happening. And in 2022, I graduated from Albertus Magnus with my bachelor's. Yes. And in 2023, I was able to go back to Otisville here. The picture here is me and my brother and my cousin, who's my co-defendant. Now he had 4 lives plus 60. And through our habeas, he was able to get his sentence down to a 30-year sentence. And, you know, he's more closer to coming home now than he was. And so we've just been keeping him in our prayers here. And January this year, we purchased our new home. In April, for Second Chance Month, the reentry community in Bridgeport honored me with a personal achievement award for just, you know, my story, living for God and serving, giving back to the community. Here, I had the honor and privilege of baptizing. This is my cousin here. He was the youngest on our indictment at the time. He was 19. He was like 17, 19 years old when we got arrested. He was he was one of the youngest ones, but he gave his life to Christ and been, you know, he's married, he's doing well, but I had the privilege to baptize him. Here is another one of my childhood friends that I was able to baptize that same day as well too. He was actually in the Thanksgiving picture from 2000. So that was a beautiful moment for us. And there's more to come. You know, God is not finished, right? And so I thank Paul for this opportunity and Chip for his amazing friendship. So many of you brothers and that I've gotten to work with and got to know over the years. Really appreciate you guys. There's so much more to what God is doing right now. I am currently my last leg of my master's degree for marriage and family therapy, and just excited for what's ahead, for what's to come. You know, God is still working. His grace is so amazing, and we all have a story, and your story is relevant. So I really love this fellowship and the opportunity to share with you guys. I pray that you guys find some encouragement with this. I know I didn't have a lot of time to go into some of the details, but throughout my time of incarceration, when we was at Fort Dix, I'll close with this. This is one of the largest compounds in the BOP, in the Bureau of Prisons, and it's over 5,000 inmates separated on 3 campuses, and we started this program of giving, where we would collect, you know, through our commissary and put together these care packages, because the prison was overturning the population, so they were shipping guys out to bring in new people because things had got so out of control there with cell phones and all types of scandalous stuff was happening there. And so busloads, 3 and 4 busloads of like 60 to 80 men were coming in during the day. And we had these care packages that the community had put together. And we would, you know, gather these men and share the gospel and bless them with care packages. And we did this for months on end. And it was just an amazing time of just witnessing, you know, witnessing Christ. Many gave their life to Christ. Many became a part of the community, and many was just touched to know that God was just able. You know, it was to the point where even like the staff and the officers were like telling people go see the Christians. They'll make sure you're okay, you know. And one thing about Fort Dix is that guys self-surrender there often, so they're coming straight from the street, and you know, to leave your home to come to that place, it can be really devastating, and so we would be able to just, you know, help them make that transition, you know. And so that's is what part of NCS inside and outside does. We know we go into the prisons when we can. We connect where there's folks that, you know, find themselves getting caught up in the justice system and need some support navigating that. We're there for them as well. And so it's been good. It's been good, and just want to thank God for His grace, right? All right. Yes.